Hi, everybody. Your boy Wayout Nelson, Mr. Wayout, Dr. Wayout, just Wayout. Anyway, this video is a response to the Mandala Man's video about petrified wood or giant rocks. See, the Mandala Man gave us a lot to think about, saying how, such as the example he used was Devil's Tower in Wyoming. That's the big giant rock. It's over 800 foot tall. The famous scene is from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where the aliens land near Devil's Tower. And some people do question, is it just a giant petrified tree, or is it a natural formation? So I'm going to go ahead and put my 2 cents into that. I did look into it a little bit. And, my opinion, my rebuttal to the Mandala Man. Thanks for the topic, Mandala Man. Peace, bro. Okay, so if you're familiar with them, I guess that's the most famous one, is the Devil's Tower. But apparently around the world there are structures like that appear to maybe have been giant trees at one time. It's not such a far-fetched idea, being, you go back a few 100 million years and we have these, giant lizards and giant sloths, and the world a few million years ago was seems to have been a lot more fertile, a lot richer, a lot larger. Things grew a lot bigger. I think because the food was just more abundant than it is back then. So things were growing larger, I suppose, including trees. The mainstream scientists say that Devil's Tower is it's petrious rock, I believe is the way you say it, which is like volcanic rock. It's just the remnant of an old volcano. Lava, magma at one time came out of this thing and solidified into rock, and that's what they're saying it is. Like I say, there is a possibility. I think that there were giant trees, or there were, obviously, we know of dinosaurs and large animals and much larger trees. Was a megalodon, the giant shark that doesn't exist anymore, 50, 60 feet long. Things were a lot bigger back then. So there's a point to that. For, let's say, Devil's Tower or all the structures, similar structures around the world, to be petrified trees, a couple things has to happen to petrify wood. Number one, it needs to be buried. It needs to be buried deeply under a lot of soil, so the weight compresses it. And what happens over millions of years, it takes a while to fossilize these things. Essentially, petrified trees are like fossilized trees, where you have all the organic wood and such slowly replaced by minerals, usually quartz or silicon, some sort of minerals from the deposit sitting on top of it between the pressure, I guess, and the heat. Over millions of years, it replaces the organic wood part with rock, and you have a petrified tree. I mean, there are verified petrified trees, none that we know of that are 800 feet tall. In Devil's Tower, that appears just to be the trunk. So if the trunk is 800 feet tall, I mean, how tall would this tree have been? 2 miles high? I mean, is that even possible? So, how would it be unburied? Most petrified wood is dug up or comes up in some sort of swamp excavation or something. When you find petrified wood, like you find fossilized bones and that type of thing, they're usually dug up because they're buried. How would this tree trunk that just, a Devil's Tower, I'm sure you've, as a child, made replicas of it with your potatoes, like we all have. How would it just be there in the ground like that if it was buried under a lot of soil and minerals for millions of years for it to occur that way? I mean, for it to be transformed into a petrified structure. How is it buried? Why is it so? It just looks like a trunk there. The other explanation the Mandala Man offered was, he said, Billy Carlson. He's definitely on the woo side of things. I like Billy. Said, there's that it came from Tiamat. If you're unfamiliar with Tiamat, Tiamat is named after a Sumerian god, one of the primal gods. I believe Tiamat was like the god of salt water that mated with the Apsu, the god of fresh water, and they created the primordial gods, the primordial Anunnaki gods. Was named Tiamat. So that's where that comes from. But the planet Tiamat is the old fifth planet. Okay, you went to Mars. Now it goes Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and then Jupiter. The theory is that at one time Tiamat was the fifth planet rather than Jupiter. Currently, there's the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. It's just a big bunch of rocks, orbiting where a planet may have been. So it looks like there's a distinct possibility that there at one time was a planet there that somehow collided with something or got destroyed, and now it's just a bunch of asteroids out there floating around. Now, whether or not a planet that far out, had an abundance of life or any life, especially trees or organic life and oceans, is questionable. It's pretty far out for it not to be frozen. So you have water, it probably would be frozen unless they had some kind of, geothermal activity or something. And then even then, would it get enough light to be able to grow, especially giant tree. And then the theory is that when the planet exploded or was broken up, whatever life was there went out floating into space, just like the rest of the planet did, and formed the asteroid belt. And I've heard other people say that Tiamat, it was a water planet. One gentleman I used to watch all the time, his name is Michael Tessarion. He claimed that the polar ice caps of Earth were from Tiamat. The water left the planet when it broke up and was floating out there in space, and somehow got moved into the Earth's gravitational field. And because the poles are magnetic, when the water reached Earth, it went right to the poles, and that's why we have our polar ice caps. I don't know how plausible that really is. I think the one thing I thought of that really kind of shoots holes in the Tiamat theory of just an old planet destroying all the trees and animal life or whatever was there, water had to go somewhere. Is that if that happened, and because I'm not an expert in this, I'm familiar with Devil's Tower. I know there are other structures around the world, other geological structures. If that many trees, came from out there in space between Mars and Jupiter, Mars and Jupiter, to the Earth. Number one, the Earth has an atmosphere, and when rocks hit it, meteorites hit it, most of them burn up in the atmosphere because of the heat. The friction of the atmosphere with it moving quickly kind of burns it up and generates heat. All our rockets and space shuttles have thermal protection to keep them from burning up like a meteorite or a tree would. So majority of them would be just burnt up into nothingness. What are the chances that one would hit smack right in the ground, look like a tree? Why wouldn't it be fallen over upside down or just broken into pieces, burnt up from the impact? That's a question. And I think the thing that really might disprove this is we have the moon, okay, and the moon has no atmosphere. It does have gravity. It would attract some bodies floating to it. The moon, the craters on the moon are from rock impacts, meteors and meteorites hitting the moon. Things do hit the moon. Why isn't there a bunch of just like dead trees on the moon? I mean, they wouldn't burn up. I think it'd got a better chance of looking like a tree on the moon than the Earth, because we have the atmosphere. It would burn it up. So I think that shoots some holes in the possibility that this came from Tiamat. According to, like I said, scientists, it's volcanic rock. If it was a tree that just naturally grew there, we would find a root system. So far, no sort of fossilized roots have been found that's attached to it. So that's another hole in the petrified tree theory. I think a petrified tree theory in general, even if it's just from Earth and just petrified over these years, it would be like quartz. It would be crystalline or something. But you see petrified wood, it's kind of shiny. You know what I mean? And this is not. It's obviously volcanic rock. And the Mandala Man was saying, I 100% agree. This stuff is put out there to make us think, to make you think. Well, what is it? Discern. I talk a lot about discernment, about knowing right from wrong, good from evil. It's not just going with your emotions or, oh man, it looks good to me, so it makes sense. Like thinking about it, and if it has a million holes in it, in the theory, pointing them out and saying, nah, I don't think that's true. Let's go deeper here in the foil hat level. I mean, this is where I'm at foil hat wise. I think there's agendas. There's agendas to get us to believe in sort of the ancient astronaut, ancient alien theory, the sky gods that are coming to save us, and that we must go to Mars and explore because that's where we're from. We're made by the Anunnaki, and we need to return. I think that's somewhat of an agenda that's being pushed for whatever reason, and to trust the science did a lot to discredit science. Let's face it, over the last 4 years. I mean, more people are like, I don't know if I really believe that. And when they're just saying, if you have science, you have some kind of scientific method to make something, or what they call science or pseudoscience. They're saying trust it, don't question that. Well, that's not science. I mean, that's just authoritarianism. That's just totalitarian. Someone pushing something, saying, "Oh, don't question it." I mean, don't believe false information. Just believe the experts. But that's not science. Science is I have a theory, and I do some kind of scientific methods. I'm going to prove my theory, and I go, this is how I think this happened. And if years later I come and say, I think that I found out this is wrong, I publish a paper. I say I declare myself this is not true, or someone else does. I mean, Mandala Man comes back on me and says, I found this new proof, and it's not. That's how science is done. Science is not absolute. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. Okay, so if they're pushing you to just like completely discredit science, I think a lot of this is like pushed by like flat earthers and stuff who are just like, look, we've been lied to so many damn times over everything. We just don't believe anything anymore. Whatever y'all say, we're just going to believe the opposite. And I am definitely on that path of, I just don't believe things because I see it on social media or the news tells me. Do your own research, look into it, believe it, based on evidence and discernment, not just on what somebody said in a video, or you think it's more fun to believe in things like that. So I guess that's my response as a thumbs down to petrified giant trees, or implants from Tiamat. I mean, how would that happen? You have a giant seed, it fell into the earth and grew. Like, where's the rest of the tree? In my opinion, it just doesn't hold water. I think it probably is pretty much what genuine geologists, just people that are interested in rocks and looking at that type of thing and trying to figure out how this works. Say, I don't know if that's really an agenda to push. That these folks are pushing petrified trees. It's more other people who don't trust anything, and wanting to do that. But when you don't trust anything, you don't believe in anything, you're open to everything. So as always, here, full foil hat, we say do your own research. Listen to the other point of view. Just don't listen to one point of view. Listen to two. I mean, you got me and the Mandala Man, and sometimes we'll have different points of view, and that's the way it should be. Try to present a whole picture of both sides of the whole thing, and let folks decide for themselves. So there you go, Mandala Man. I dug your video, and looking forward to a time we can be doing this live. It'd be awesome. And thanks for all the folks tuning in. Hello, new subscribers. I know we got some new subscribers. That's cool. Thank you very much. And this is Wayout, Dr. Wayout, saying, I'll see you next time.